Hi everyone, Christina Werner here. Welcome to another video for SimonsStamp.com. Today I'm going to be showing you a card using supplies from the 2019 January card kit. This is the stamp set that comes in the kit. It's called Snow Much. I'm going to set that aside for a minute while we do some other things to prep the supplies for this card. The white cardstock in the kit is a really nice, thick white cardstock. I've cut it down for my card base and also a separate piece that I can stamp and color on. I'm prepping the card base by scoring it at 5.5, and I'll set that aside for a minute while I work on this custom ink pad using Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks. This is a brand new custom blend ink pad and it's blank. It has no color in it, so you get to choose what colors you want. So I'm going to use these three right here. I'm going to shake up the re-inkers really well and then just start applying. Starting with the color Dried Marigold, and I'm going to be applying these to the Distress Oxide Custom Blend ink pad in kind of like a 3-stripe pattern. You could definitely put these on in different ways. You can dot the colors on, you can do a radiating color pattern, you could do whatever you like, but for the card design I'm doing today, I wanted 3 distinct stripes of color. This next color is Seedless Preserves. I'm going to add that on here. And you'll notice that as I add the color, that it sort of spreads a little bit on the ink pad. So keep that in mind if you want to make sure that your colors don't overlap too much. But for the most part, I don't mind if these colors overlap a little bit because it will just help with the blending. So the third color I'm using is Chipped Sapphire. And as I apply this, I stop in the center here in a minute and I kind of squeeze the bottle and it puts that color out into the Seedless Preserves area. You'll see that here in a minute. I'm going to squeeze the bottle and it kind of bloops out and spreads into the Seedless Preserves, but it's not a big deal because I'm going to come back with Seedless Preserves and put that right over the top, and it kind of pushes that Chipped Sapphire back into that area. So there is a little bit leeway when you're doing these ink pads. I'm going to test this out on some scratch paper, just wipe it across. This is what I'm planning to do on my card base. So I just wanted to see what would happen. And I really love that kind of rough edge you get on each end. So now I'm going to take my card base and I'm going to go directly to my paper and just smush this ink pad down. I want some nice stripes of color. And I want the organic edges, the really rough edges on the end of each little stroke here. I'm going to kind of play with it a little bit. You can move things around. I'm rotating mine and coming at it, making sure I rotate my ink pad as well so the colors match up. So I'm going to set that aside to dry for just a little bit. Actually, no, I did not. I added some water. Now, Distress Oxide ink, just like Distress inks, it does react with water. And you can see how it really this water almost bleaches the colors. It really brightens them up. And it's a great way to add dimension and texture to your Distress Oxide backgrounds. So I just sprinkled some water on there using a spray tool. And then I'll use my heat tool to speed up the drying process to help dry this card base. So now I've set that aside. I'm going to stamp one of the snowmen from the stamp set in Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I'm going to be coloring the snowman with Copic markers, and because of that, I needed to use a Copic-friendly ink. This Intense Black ink is perfect for Copic coloring because it's a nice stark black ink and will not bleed, smear, or smudge when used with Copic markers. So I'm adding all these colors on here, and I'm taking cues from those 3 Distress Oxide ink colors. So I've got kind of like a very bluish purple, and then I have more of an iris violet shade, and then a very warm yellow. I'm going to cut this out by trimming around the edge. I'm going to keep a little bit of a margin around the outside edge, so there's a little bit of white on the outside of the snowman. Placing him on top so I can kind of see where he'll go eventually. And I'm going to be heat embossing the main greeting and some snowflakes, so I want to make sure that this area isn't going to have embossing powder stick to it. I want to make sure it's completely dry. So I did a test run by putting some anti-static powder tool down and then sprinkled on some white embossing powder. And thankfully it was dry enough and I was able to move on quickly. So I placed that snowman on the card front just so I could get placement of this very large Snow Much stamp. And then I inked it up with the Versamark ink and stamped onto my card front. You notice I did use an anti-static powder tool before stamping. That's just going to help prevent any embossing powder from sticking to areas where I don't want it. So I applied some Brutus Monroe Alabaster embossing powder. This is a really nice white embossing powder. And then I'll just use my heat tool to heat set this. And you'll know that the heat embossing powder is completely set when it becomes smooth and everything has melted. It's really easy to see that change happen when you're heat embossing. I'm going to add another sentiment stamp that says Missing You right above that Snow Much. So the entire greeting area says Missing You Snow Much. I think that's a really great greeting card or handmade card to send to someone during the winter season. Such a fun play on words. So I'll do the same process, stamping the stamp in Versamark ink, applying that white embossing powder, and then heat setting it. Decided to add some snowflakes will go behind the snowman. So I had the snowman on there just long enough to place them, and then closed my MISTI stamp positioning tool to transfer those snowflake stamps onto the door. I prepped that area with an anti-static powder tool, and then inked up all of those stamps and stamped down onto my card front. Did the same exact steps that I did for the other two greeting stamps. I applied some Brutus Monroe white embossing powder and then heat set that with the heat tool until it was completely smooth and melted. I'm applying the snowman with some foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesives. And I'll just put those foam squares on the back of the snowman and then place it right over top of those snowflakes. And that's going to finish the card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of inspiration from the January 2019 card kit. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.